In this tutorial you are going to learn how to make this pattern. You can call it a kind of wallpaper, or you could use it on wrapping paper. And I've imported the image that I made by scanning it in, and this was my original. Okay, you can see that it's not quite straight. So what I've done is I've created guides so that I can transform this selection so that it becomes a proper square. And you can make these guides by just clicking on the rulers. If your rulers aren't up, you go to Window and you show your rulers, which is on View rather, not on Window. So you can see that it's there, it's clicked on. And all you do is you drag to where you want it. I just want it outside my square so I can make it straight. And you do that by just dragging. So I've dragged that, I've dragged that. If you want to get rid of them, you can just go onto it and drag off. So I don't want that one anymore. Okay, so I've got the basic shape. What I want to do is transform that. So I can actually do with the selection, I can copy the layer. So if I duplicate the layer, which makes it slightly easier, and then I can select around the shape that I want to transform. So I can go to here. What it'll do is slightly snap to grids, so you might want to do that selection after. And then you can go to Image, go to Edit, Transform, and then you've got a choice of selections what you want to do. You can do it in perspective or skew or distort. I'll do it on distort. It means that I can just drag the image until it's slightly outside the guides. Because I want them slightly outside. I want to get rid of the black outline as well, because I don't want that within my shape. So I'm going to do it outside of the green guides. So drag that there, remembering I want the black outline outside of my guide that I've got. So I go to there, and I can then go to there as well. And you'll notice that the black line is now outside my guide. Once you're happy with that, just apply your transformation, and then we can deselect our area. So you can see now that's inside the guide. And we might want those shapes in it still, so I could actually make that slightly smaller if I wanted to. So I can go to that transformation, and again distort it maybe a little bit less, but I'm not going to be too fussy for this tutorial, but I might want to nudge it slightly that way a little bit. Okay, now I can select that area now that I've made it. And like I said, because I want that within those shapes, I'm going to go slightly outside of my guide that I've made. So slightly outside. Actually, that might be dead on. And then I can copy that. And so you'll notice that I'm going to make this in a minute. And you can see that it's part of it, so it's only a certain selection on that. Okay, so I'm going to create a new document, and I want it A4, and I'm going to paste that selection within. So there it is, and it's pretty straight. And depending on the size that you want your pattern, I'm going to make mine fairly small, and to do it in proportion, you either press Shift or you press that middle button to make it go in proportion. So you can see it's not stretching or anything. And I'm going to say I want it around about that size. Okay, and then you can apply the transformation. And you'll notice that I've got the layer now on there. So now what I want to do is duplicate that layer. You can duplicate that layer by going to here, and the tiny kind of lines on the corner, and you can go to duplicate layer. There's also a way of duplicating the layer down here. I'm going to do it through this, so you can duplicate layer, And you'll see now that I've got 2 of those. Okay, and now I want to flip that. So I go to Edit again, I go to Transform, and I flip. So I think, I always get this confused, but I think it's flip horizontal. Let's have a look. So there you go, it is. And there I've made my transformation. Now I'll zoom in a bit so you can see that I'm going to try and make these join. So I can use the cursor keys and nudge it a bit until I'm happy. I think that should be okay. Yep, maybe a bit more of a nudge. Okay, I'm happy with that. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to merge my layers. So I'm going to merge down these 2 layers. I want to be merged, I want them to be together. So you go to merge down. Again, these lines, you click on there and you go to merge down. So now they are actually one layer. And now again, I'm going to duplicate this, and you might have guessed that I'm going to flip it again. So I'll duplicate the layer again, and maybe it's one, remember it's one layer now, and you'll see that there's 2 layers. And instead of flipping vertically, I'm going to flip vertically. So I go to there and I flip vertically. And then you can see now that those 2 will now join. So if I want to check that they're okay, yeah, that looks good. That looks pretty spot on. And so now I'm going to merge down again. So I'll merge those 2 layers. So I go to merge down, and now I have a solid pattern. Now I want maybe this to be a little, because I'll zoom out so you can see. I might want to make that a tiny bit smaller before I'm creating my pattern. So again, I will go down like that, and I want it to be in proportion. Okay, I'm happy with that. Okay, so I'm now going to make this into a pattern. And not a brush, but a pattern. So